Funky Politics.
Funky Politics Education Reform Series is presented by the National Civil Rights Museum, sponsored by Memphis Education Fund and Southwest Tennessee Community College. We'd like to thank our media partner, Chalkbeat Tennessee.
You are listening to Funky Politics, powered by the Tequilla Network. In our studio this evening, we are visiting with Tequilla Banks, Executive Vice President of TNTP, formerly known as the New Teacher Project. You got your boy DC here and Doc Ward, always on the mic.
Yeah, so talk to us a little bit about TNTP.
First of all, can I ask her this?
Yeah.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good to have a beautiful woman here instead of having this old bag of bones I work with every other day. But anyway, go ahead. Your question, sir.
Thank you. Before I was so rudely interrupted, talk to us a little bit about it.
TNTP was founded in 1997 by teachers, and the whole goal was to help districts that were, having problems getting teachers to come to their districts. A lot of urban districts around the country. So TNTP was formed by teachers to kind of meet that need, and so at its forming, that was the sole purpose, to just recruit and train new teachers and then place them in districts that didn't have enough teachers. As time has evolved and we've continued to work with districts and states and chartered all over the country, we actually work not just in training new teachers, we work with districts on their instruction and curriculum work and academics. We work with them on their talent work still, and we also work with them on what we call supportive environments, making sure that they have policies and programs and structures in place that would actually help them deliver better, high quality education to kids.
So were you actually placing the teachers, or were you just giving them the training so that they could be placed?
Both.
Because you're doing both of them.
Both. And we still do some of that, but it's not the only thing we do anymore.
So what was leading to the shortage? Because we talk about this all the time, the teacher shortage. Why do we have such a dearth of teachers and educators right now in our systems?
Yeah, I think it's a couple of things. We've actually done some research and some studies around it. One of the things is that colleges of education aren't producing as many teachers anymore. And once we started measuring, that's a part of it. We actually know which colleges are producing better teachers, so fewer colleges are doing that. And then the other thing, we don't have as many teachers who actually go into teaching and stay. So if you look at retention, we have too many teachers, especially good teachers that are leaving the profession.
Wow. Yeah, we've talked about it on this program before, and I'm one of those people who's going to always ask. In terms of males in the classroom, and I like to speak to black males in the classroom. Mm-hmm. We've talked to
black male in the classroom,
black men in the classroom, black males in the classroom that are leading the class, are actually the educators. Is there a strategy in place with any of these entities that are working with performance measures to actively recruit black males, and especially in some of these urban cores?
There are only a few, to be honest. There are only a few. I mean, that's been an effort, I know, for other organizations that are doing this, to increase the number of minority teachers in general, but with a specific focus on black males. I think I would say we're making slow progress, but not nearly enough.
Wow. But how do you get people to be interested in teaching again? Because let's just be for real. Yeah. Once upon a time, particularly in the African American community, being a teacher was probably the highest thing that you could be for the majority of folks coming out of college at that time, particularly folks that came out in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Yeah. Okay. So now all of a sudden you had other professions that became available in the so-called business world, with integration of IBM and Xerox and all those other companies that started bringing in and said, let's take African Americans, let's start integrating them. All of a sudden, working in corporate America is more attractive than teaching. So now, teaching is a job it's just categorized as a job with a lot of hard work and a lot of stress and low pay. So how do you get to a point to where you actually get those numbers up and then get the quality to go up, proportionally with the numbers?
I mean, that's the question. I think is bigger than just school districts. A lot of people think, if school districts would do a better job. That is a part of the work. But if you look at countries where teaching is still a valued, noble, respected profession where, you're a star if you're a teacher. You don't see the crises and the shortages that we're seeing here, where you go into it, it's rewarded both in pay and in recognition, and even how it's structured and what you ask teachers to do. Other countries, their whole value proposition around teaching is totally different from ours now.
You are listening to Funky Politics, and this evening we are visiting with Tequilla Banks, Executive Vice President of TNTP, formerly known as the New Teacher Project. And and speaking about other countries, and if it comes down to, is it a job or is it a profession? And I think you just said a minute ago, a job. I think if teachers knew they were going to be supported, these young people knew they were going to be supported, and it was actually a career for them, that they could see some upward mobility, then maybe, Doc, I could probably stick it, maybe 10 years or 12 years in the classroom, and maybe I'm going to be, something else, an administrator, I'm assuming. It's the next level.
Well, that's part of the work that we do, is helping districts and states figure out a better kind of career path for that. If you look at the average teacher salary, it takes teachers, 10, 20 years to get to a decent more wage, and it's not connected to their performance. And so,
do you think that that's fair? Do you think that's justified about the salaries? Do you think those salaries need to come up?
Absolutely. I mean, what we ask for teachers,
they need to come up.
Absolutely, they need to come up, and it should not take a teacher 30, 40 years to get to a salary that other professions start out at.
So first issue number one is that we're not paying teachers enough. I mean, can we kind of pull out some brass tacks principles from this? Yeah. Number one, we don't pay teachers enough in America. Period.
We don't pay teachers enough.
And particularly those in public education.
We don't pay teachers enough in America, and particularly problematic, we don't reward teachers for being good. So if I'm a good teacher and I'm knocking it and my students are learning, I get the same pay as Miss Mary down the street who's just yelling at her class all day.
Funny you say that, Dr. Cole. I remember back in the day, there was this career ladder out there. I think it was career ladder 3. And it was almost a stratification of sorts.
Right.
Can we not get to something like that where I can say that Doc he's a career ladder 3. He's basically the supervisor. So, giving them something to work toward, and bumping up in pay $5,000 or $6,000. I think this is a way to get there.
Well, the two things that were problematic with the career ladder, one, it wasn't transparent enough. If you're going to pay by performance, everybody has to know what it takes and what it means to be good. Right. So career ladder was a little bit of a black box if you talk to people that were kind of in that system. And then the second thing, career ladder frankly ran out of money. It was funded by some special fund at the state level, and when that money ran out, it couldn't sustain. So if we're really going to change the game, we got to restructure the whole way we fund education.
But not paying all the teachers the same thing, because all don't perform at the same level, as you just said.
But I haven't even gotten into parsing it between teacher achievement. I'm saying teachers as a whole don't make enough money, period.
Okay.
So
we agree.
Before we start talking,
agree.
Before we start talking about who's better, who's not better. So let's get to this, because teachers in public education are funded by the government, and we're saying that teachers don't make enough money. You're saying they should make more. Where's this money going to come from to pay them?
So it's interesting you say that. We did a report a couple years ago called The Mirage, and what that report, the TNTP.
Was the money in the Mirage?
No, the money was not in the Mirage.
The money was a Mirage.
The Mirage was the money?
Yeah.
Hey, here you go. God, that's not real.
Yeah, okay.
But what it found was, like, we tried to look at where are we spending a lot of money, and what we're spending so much money on is professional development for teachers that doesn't then translate into them being better. So on average, this was a national, rigorous study, and nationally we spend about $18,000 per year per teacher.
Wow.
$18,000 per year per teacher, and that does not get a return on investment where those teachers are then getting better and better. In fact, we found most teachers kind of plateau around year 5 to 7.
And you got,
You are listening to Funky Politics, powered by the Kazuki Network. In our studio this evening, we're visiting with Tequilla Banks, Executive Vice President of TNTP, formerly known as the New Teacher Project, and she is an education reform guru.
But when you guys got this consultant to come in and look, and they noticed that the professional development was not worth the money, that you basically determined, I guess, that you could be taking that professional development money and putting it in salaries, right?
That's one thing, and we're not saying you don't need to do professional
Right.
development, but you should actually be getting a return on it. You shouldn't be
return
spending
on investment.
$18,000 per year per teacher, and your teachers are still flat. They're plateauing. They're not getting better and better,
Yeah.
meaning students are learning more and more.
Well, next time somebody has this kind of study, I want them to hire me because I can tell you right now, you're spending billions of dollars on corrections.
Oh.
Billions of dollars on corrections.
Yeah.
Billions of dollars on corrections.
Yes, sir, you
for
are.
kids that are not properly educated because of teacher shortage. And that same money that's going to give this person that's in the system.
Or not an effective teacher in front of them.
Well, I mean
it's
like
one
I
of the
said
two.
before, I'm not even on the level of,
Well, okay.
of whether or not they're effective yet. I'm just saying the general premise we said all teachers are underpaid. So we're spending all this money on corrections. And, we're paying for somebody to have 3 meals a day and uniform and everything else. We could be taking that money and putting it on teachers as well.
And it's pay and it's other things too. We also did a national study on this teacher retention issue because we said, okay, we're not getting enough teachers to go into the field.
Right.
What about trying to hang on to the teachers we have? And in that, pay was one of the things. There were some other things that came up for teachers on why they leave the profession. It's exactly as you mentioned. A lot of
What
them
were those?
not feeling supported, not getting feedback,
Yeah.
not getting any type of recognition. So it's
But it
things.
seems like it's all centered around pay. How well do you show someone the love without you're not paying
Well,
them?
interestingly, it wasn't just pay.
Yeah.
I mean, pay comes up in like the top 4, but not the top reason that the teachers
Isn't
leave.
that amazing?
Teachers leave because not working in schools where there's a good culture, meaning
Right.
they do their job, they're recognized for it, they have a principal,
Sure.
a manager who supports them and has their back. That's why most teachers leave.
Wow, this is amazing to me. You're listening to Funky Politics, powered by the Tequilla Network. In our studio this evening, we're visiting with Tequilla Banks, Executive Vice President of TNTP, formerly known as the New Teacher Project.
Yeah.
And I guess that's where it comes from, support. And I had friends who taught school, and I had about 2 or 3 that left the district. They were doing great about 6 years, 7 years, and 8 years, I think, just like that. Those 3, they left, and they said, well, you know what? I can do something else. I mean, number one, I'm not really supported when I try to correct a student, then I get the parent involved, and then now it's back on me. So we're talking about a leadership issue in the building then, in some respect, because if I don't have an effective leader in my building of the entire process, then I'm not going to I may just walk. I may walk when it comes down. When something small happens, Doc, I may walk.
I don't know. I mean,
It's not the check anymore, because if you're teaching, number one, you ain't there for the money no way.
but you know what though? A lot of times, and I'm not saying that teachers are in any way greedy at all.
No,
I have a
no, not
family
at all.
full of educators.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of times though, when you're showing people the love in the pockets,
Yeah.
they're going to stick around, and decent people are going to do a decent job for a lot longer because at least they're being supported financially. But with these factors that you're talking about that are going on, pay being one of them, and then fulfillment being another one, and there are other things to go on, are we getting to a point to where the teaching model is going to be, we're going to train people to work for 2 or 3 years and get out, so therefore we have to give them sort of this box of skill for a shorter period of time because we know that they won't be here, or what? Because I think before people trained teachers for the long haul.
Yeah, for the career path.
So
The career
now,
path.
are we going to have to adjust the way we train teachers now because there's so many of them that are there's such a swinging door effect to the profession?
I think it's twofold. I do think that our colleges of ed and other alternative certification programs need to step up and really look at how they're training teachers for the reality, right? This the classroom. But I also think, as you're saying, like what we train teachers for, we got to rethink that job. I mean, it's an untenable job, frankly. I mean, like you, I come from a family of educators. My aunt was a principal at 2 different schools. I mean, could you imagine basically working 2 different jobs, but you still get the same?
Wow,
pay?
wait a minute, hold on. 2 different schools?
Yes. I mean, I was born in Memphis, but I grew up across the river in rural Arkansas. And and so it's things like that. I mean, you're asking a person to drive 30 minutes between 2 jobs, but get the same pay. And so when we think about what it's going to take for teachers to stay in it for the long haul, the current structure and model is obviously not working.
No.
Kids aren't getting what they need. Teachers aren't getting, what they need. So we really need to rethink and kind of crack that nut and figure out, like, what does the job for today's teacher need to look like that's sustainable?
And you got to figure it out pretty quickly, don't you?
We need to figure it out pretty
Because
quickly.
we got some babies right now
Right.
who,
We have
who
some
are,
babies
who are-
today.
their lives are on the line
Yes.
today, their lives on the line today, and they've got to be prepared for tomorrow.
Right. So if the average teacher is going to, how long does the average teacher stick around the system now?
It's changing. Not the 30 years. It's getting lower and lower. I don't have the exact number, but
obviously it won't be 30
decreasing.
years now,
No,
because
no.
because at the same time you're also killing pensions and everything else. So no one's going to be able to get retirements. Don't need for me to stay anywhere for 30 years. But right now, how long do they stay? Would you say right now, if a teacher went to the system today, how long would it be before they went somewhere else?
I mean, on average, probably around 10 years now. In a lot of places, I mean, you can't quote me on that because it varies it varies by district. But
we're just a wag is what we're getting from.
Yeah.
So 10 years is it's a 10-year model that we need to be working with,
or less. But the thing is, we need to do a better job of keeping the teachers who are not doing it. Who are doing it, right. But then the teachers who, let's all be honest, there are some teachers who
need to be out of the district.
Who that shouldn't have been their career, and we need to help them, respectfully find another career. And so
I like the way she said that. We need to help them respectfully find it.
I agree. I was a school social worker, so
I understand. We need a social worker out of there. There you go.
Yeah. It seems like we need a lot of social work right
now. We do need a lot of.
So look, you're listening to Funky Politics, powered by the Tequilla Network. We're visiting this evening with Tequilla Banks. God,
get it right.
Get it right. Tequilla Banks, Executive Vice President, TNTP, formerly known as the New Teacher Project. We've had a lot of fun with. Yeah, take my time.
Okay, take your time. Get it right. This is DC and Doc Ward talking to you about a great opportunity available for you at Southwest Tennessee Community College.
You can get a business degree. You can open doors to a wide range of opportunities. Engineering and information technicians are in demand to help power manufacturing and logistics. And paralegal studies, man, those majors are in big demand right now. Register now for spring classes starting January 17th. Call 901-333-4399. A wide range of programs for the most in-demand careers are just another reason Southwest Tennessee Community College is your best choice.
In Memphis, there are 116,000 very important young minds. 20,000 of them attend schools in the bottom 5%.
The Memphis Education Fund partners with committed organizations to give these students access to an equitable education.
Their partners work to operate quality schools, recruit, retain, and develop effective teachers and leaders, ensure community voice, and support the needs of the whole child in Shelby County's priority schools.
This is the story of a great people, of hopes and dreams, of challenge and change. It's an American story. The story and struggle that started many centuries ago lives today in the halls and on the walls of the renovated National Civil Rights Museum. Enter the Supreme Court Halls of Justice, sit with Rosa Parks on the Montgomery bus, hear Mahalia Jackson sing at the March on Washington. Plan now to visit the National Civil Rights Museum at the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee. For more information, log on to civilrightsmuseum.org.